Hey guys, Zelonius here. Welcome to another video on the channel. In today's video, we are going to be looking at a complete tutorial guide on engravings. One of the most important things in the game when it comes to min-maxing your character. They're absolutely vital in making the most out of your character. And for most classes, your gameplay is completely changed by the engravings. So I'm going to go over all the different aspects of them, how to get your engravings up, the way to be efficient on them, and also a good way to get engravings, as in how to actually find them, where you can get them as rewards, some of the best ways for that. So I'm going to talk first about engravings if people aren't aware of what they actually are. So you can press P and go to your engravings to see what your current equipped engravings are. There are a few ways you can have engravings in terms of to build towards this. Your jewelry can have engravings, so your gear, all your pieces of jewelry should have engravings on them. And then your ability stone, that is one of the best ways of getting engravings. Rare ability stones, that's blue, can have up to +6 at a maximum. Purple can have up to +8, that's epic. Legendary can have up to +10. And I think Relic might be able to have up to +11. I've never actually used a Relic ability stone because they're just not worth the cost right now. Generally speaking, ability stones in each tier are item locked. So in tier 3 right now, you have to be 1370 to have a legendary ability stone. So I've not been able to unlock that yet, but I'm looking forward to when I can. The better tier ability stones also give more vitality as well. So there is that. So ability stones are a big way to get it. And then the equipped engravings are, to get those equipped engravings, press Alt plus I. You can look at the engraving effect here. You can also get it. It's one of these menus. Which one does it come under? Is it roster? Yeah, under roster engraving effect. Alt plus I. You can either, well, there's two types of engravings, combat ones and class ones. Generally speaking, for most classes, you at least need to focus and have one of the engravings on your class one. The class engraving, it depends which class you're playing, how important it is. For my class, the Sorceress, you can either go, and this tends to be the way for quite a lot of classes, a lot of the damage classes either have an engraving that's more consistent overall DPS, like the Reflux one for Sorceress, or the Igniter for Sorceress. A lot of classes have one where instead of being more consistent damage, it's a bigger burst type damage. Not the same for every class, obviously. There's some support classes. So for Paladin, for example, their class engravings either give them more damage or boost their Holy Aura, which gives them bigger heals, more damage reduction. Generally speaking, I think for a lot of classes, there is a option you can go between either one. For Sorceress, you can play either one fine. But for some classes, there is literally really, out of the two engravings, there's only one you really want to use. So I would say look up a guide if you're not sure. Max Roll's a website I've used a lot. Their class guides are very, very good. It will generally put you in the right path on which class engraving you should use. You cannot get class engravings off of ability stones. Ability stones can only have the combat bonuses on. So you're probably going to need to equip one of these here. So for the class bonuses, I'll unequip these now. So watch here. I right click and it puts it in the slot. If I right click again, it doesn't do anything. Not everyone notices. I've seen people in tier 3 who only have one of these equipped. You probably shouldn't have got to tier 3 without noticing that. But the way to get the second one is shift. No, is it alt plus right click? Yeah, not shift plus right click. Alt plus right click. I don't want that because that would get me +5 over. I would like to have tier 3 igniter, but I'd rather have my hitmaster at tier go from level 1 to level 2. So we're going to alt plus right click on hitmaster. So it does put my igniter down to tier 2 from tier 3, but my hitmaster from tier 1 to tier 3. So you're probably wondering what's all this tier systems are. Well, the way it works on the engraving effect is you've probably seen these engraving books. You can see here these engraving books. They start at the green ones, which is comes under normal or uncommon. Blue is rare. Epic is purple. Legendary is yellow. So when you look at the engraving effects, you can see there it says +9. To get to +9, you have to do 20 out of 20 on the uncommon. So you have to get 20 uncommon engraving books of Hitmaster, equip them all. Then you'd have to get 20 blue. I can show you this actually, like in actual person. So Raid Captain. To get Raid Captain right now, it says use uncommon Raid Captain engraving recipe. I've not used any. So I've got a lot of these engraving boxes stored up in my inventory. Can select and obtain one uncommon battle engraving. We will do that quick now. I need to actually keep my roster storage open. So here, with that, because it says you can select obtain, I can pick any of them. We will find Raid Captain. There's a lot of them. So I equip it. See that's a 0 out of 20. I go to engraving effect. And now, Raid Captain, where is it? There you go, it's 1 out of 20. To get it to +3, I need it to be 20 out of 20. So I need 20 uncommons. When it's already on that, I would then need... You can see some of these are +3. To get these to +6, I now need to use 20 blue. That's 20 rares. When it's +6, you can see there, it says use epic. To get to +9, I would need 20 epic purple books with all out attack. And then these ones that I have +9 on, to get them to +12, I would have to have 20 legendary. Right now, legendary engravings are very expensive. Like if we look on the market for my class engraving, igniter, the green, I mean, blue's apparently cheaper than green. That's a bit crazy, but the green's 40. So to get 20 of those, that's 800 gold. To get 20 of the blue, that would be 200 gold. So that's 1,000 gold. To get 20 purple, that's 1,400 gold. So we're looking at 2,400 gold to get up to +9. To get the legendary, it is 80,000 gold for 20 of these. So we're going all the way from 2,500 gold to get to +9 to 80,000 to get to the legendary. That is crazy. Generally speaking, right now, unless you're an absolute giga whale who's spending a lot of money and have a lot of gold to burn, I would say never go above +9 right now. Yes, +12 will make your character better, but long term, as we get more content that drops legendary engraving books, I think you're going to find it a lot easier to get them and the price will drop. Like I said, make sure you know which class engraving you want. Some class engravings, the level 1 to 3 is not a big difference. For my class, it is. So I've got mine to level 2. I'd like it to be level 3, but Hitmaster for Sorceress is really good and gives a bigger buff than level 2 to 3 Igniter. I've got +9 there, and then I've got a jewelry ring that you can see there that gives +2. In the later tiers, I wouldn't be too worried about getting the right jewelry that has the right engraving effects on there, because it costs Fions to buy these off the market, and until I get to legendary and relic jewelry that's going to last me a long time, I don't want to waste gold and Fions on that. In case you're wondering what about, this is a very easy way to search for that. On the market, go to Auction House. We're going to look at accessory, ring, click this filter thing. We're going to go for tier 3. Then here, you can click other advanced options, engraving effect, and you can literally search for jewelry that has the engraving effect you want. So let's say I want an igniter ring that also has Hitmaster, because those are two of the main ones I run. I've got that. And now I can find all these rings that have what I want on them. And you can search by the lowest price. So that one there is really good, to be honest. I run specialization, so I can also do that. Let's see what a specialization one's like. Okay, the cost goes up a lot there. That is a really good ring, to be honest. And if I was at 1370, I'd be quite tempted to go for that. That is a really nice ring. That would be a big improvement to me. Maybe once I get to 1370, I might invest in some jewelry, but I'm kind of waiting till then. But you can see here how you can get the right engravings by messing around in the market, because you're not going to get the random drops yourself, generally speaking, is what I would say. But the market's one way of acquiring jewelry or ability stones. You can search ability stones. Might search for an ability stone that's got all out attack. That's another good one. You can see there some good ones on the market. Like I say, I'm waiting until I get to 1370. That's how you use the market to get your engravings. Like I say, at least one of these slots is probably going to be a class engraving slot because you can't get it off the ability stone for class engravings. At the end game, when you have 2+12s on here, and you've got a relic ability stone and jewelry that's given up to +3 on some of the engravings, you can have 4 level 3 engravings, which is a huge, huge DPS buff. Or if your support, it could be a huge shield buff, a huge survivability buff. We're going to have a very quick look through the combat engravings, and I'll talk about, generally speaking, some of the more meta best ones in general. I'm not going to go for all the class engravings because there's 30 of them, and I don't think anyone wants to sit and watch through that. Look, if you're wondering what's the best class engraver for you, like I say, go look at a guide for your class. We're going to look through them all. Hitmaster, this is really good on classes where you don't have front or back attacks. If you're wondering what a front or back attack is, look at your abilities. It will tell you if it's a front or back attack on there. So Sorceress basically doesn't have any front or back attacks. At least the ones I'm using don't. Whereas someone like War Dancer, nearly all of their attacks are back attacks. So they'd basically get nothing off of Hitmaster. But for Sorceress, it's great. Because you see I've got level 3, I'm getting 16% more damage basically altogether. Spirit Absorption gives you more movement speed and attack speed. Really nice. Lowest casting times makes you more mobile. I use that on my Paladin. All Out Attack, that's what I would definitely get on my Sorceress long term. That is amazing on classes that use long casting skills. Again, if you're wondering how to see if something's a holding or casting skill, look on it. You can see there, Explosion, just underneath the name at the top, it says Casting. Blaze, it's a normal, so All Out Attack wouldn't apply for that. Ambush Master, really good for classes that use lots of back attacks. So, like I say, a War Dancer would be one of them. Grudge. This is a big mistake a lot of people make, I see. Do not get Grudge at level 1. I see so many people running Grudge and Cursed All at level 1. I'm like, what are you doing? If you run it at level 1, you are only getting a 4% damage boost and taking 20% more damage. Even at level 2, it's not that great. Level 3, 20% damage from Grudge is the biggest raw boost of damage out of any engraving you can get. But for me personally, it depends what class I'm playing. On Sorceress, I would rather take the 16% damage buff across all my abilities except for my Awakening. So it's 4% less than that, but I don't take 20% damage. A lot of guides just say take Grudge because it's the best damage buff. But it is relevant to your class. And like I say, don't take level 1 Grudge because you're taking so much more damage and barely doing any more. Drops of Aether, not going to talk about that one because that one's pretty useless. Expert, really good on a Bard and Paladin. Somewhat useful on a Gun Lancer, but more a Bard and Paladin one. Boost your shields and healing. Master's Tenacity, really good on a Berserker Mayhem. Because Mayhem lowers your health to 25% or lower. And it puts your outgoing damage up loads. So that's really good for that. Lightning Fury, not a particularly great one. Aether Predator, not a particularly great one, but it's not the worst. Magic Stream, I don't think anyone wants to put any of their engravings into Magic Recovery because ultimately that is not that big a buff. Necromancy, not a great one. Crisis Evasion, again, you shouldn't be taking that because you should be taking fatal damage. Fortitude, not great. MP Efficiency, again, you don't want to be taking those. Vital Point Hit. Stagger Attack Effectiveness, 36%. Maybe on certain bosses in the game you might want to adjust to that, but in general it's not useful. Crushing Fist, don't really want to be taking that. Disrespect, on a boss with a DPS check when it's at low health, like Grexion in Tier 3 Guardian Raid, that could be really useful, but most of the time it's not a big deal. Extra bombs, grenades, unless it's a Guardian or a boss that is essential to have lots of bombs, which I haven't encountered yet, not much use. This one, if you can stay above 8% health regularly, it's good, but yeah, good luck with that. This one, damage foes while shielded, could be pretty good on a Paladin or a Gun Lancer. Contender, pretty decent for Chaos Dungeons, but not much use when it comes to general bosses because you're not going to be killing foes all the time. Don't care for more max MP. Precise Dagger. This is really good on some classes. For a class like Artillerist, this is really good because when you already have high crit chance, you can have like 60-70% with the Artillerist. If you get even more, you can nearly crit every attack. Yes, you lose a bit of crit damage, but if you're critting nearly every attack, that is amazing. Do not get level 1. This is a bit like Cursed Doll and Grudge. Minus 12% crit damage, but only 4% crit rate. Not worth. This one's amazing on Chaos Dungeons, but not much use elsewhere. Strong will, don't see much use for that. Adrenaline, pretty good on some classes, especially classes that have lots of quick attacks, martial artist, gunslinger, etc. Awakening, very good on a bard. There'll be some classes that benefit off that more. If you love your awakening as well, that's the thing. With engravings, a lot of the time, you do not need to go on the exact ones that guides say. As long as you're not trolling and going for one that boosts you down to one shield when you don't have shields, generally speaking, it's fine. You can customize, mix and match to suit your playstyle. Broken Bone, damage to stagger foes, don't care much for that. Cursed Doll, really good. 16% attack boost. You do lose a bit of healing though, so it's not great. Again, do not use this at level 1. 3% more damage for 25% less healing is not worth at level 1. Don't care for that. Don't really care for that. Heavy armor, this one can be quite good. Especially as a low level cheap one when you can't afford some of the more expensive engravings. Increased mass. There's certain classes this one can be quite nice on. Classes that don't rely as much on quick combat but just bigger hits. Berserker can be like that. Clean blunt weapon. It's a bit of a risk. I definitely wouldn't use it at level 1 or 2. But level 3, 50% extra crit damage if you crit a lot. That's really good. Propulsion, not much use. Raid Captain. On classes that have high movement speed and use a lot of swiftness, like a Paladin, War Dancer, this can be really good. Don't care for that, unless there's a fight where there's lots of shields. Sight Focus, that's a bit of a troll one. Supercharge, maybe some classes use lots of charge abilities. Emergency Rescue, don't really want to use that. Master of Escape, Master Brawler. You can see there's a lot that aren't that useful. There's some that are useful across the board, like Grudge, Cursed Doll. And then there's some that are class specific. So for my class, Igniter, Hitmaster, all out attack, then probably Grudge would be my end game build. But it varies for each class. It's not just cookie cutter and you use the exact same on each class. So hopefully that's helped you understand how the engravings work, how you get them. The last thing I want to talk about really is how you actually acquire engraving books. You can go on the market to get them. So let's look, all out attack. I can buy them there. These are a lot cheaper than the Igniter ones. Some are really cheap. Let's look at Master Brawler, for example. That one's not as popular, so it's way cheaper. So you can go on the market and find them there. You can also get these chests. I've got so many stored. There's no point in opening these just for the sake of it if I'm not actually going to use them anytime soon. For me, generally speaking, I've got 6 characters. The key is getting at least every one of their class engraving to level 1. So the way I do that is every time I make a new character, I will open these class engravings uncommons. I've run out of those now. So let's say I was making a Bard. I think Bard, it's Desperate Salvation engraving. I would buy 20 of the green ones. Probably also 20 of the blue ones, considering how cheap those are. I would equip those, especially because how cheap the blues, I'd get 20 of those, so I'd get +6. I could equip that engraving twice if I wanted, to get it to +12, so it's level 2. I would always want the class engraving. You can also get, so there's 2 types of engraving chests or bags. You can get class engraving, which are these ones, or just the combat ones. Read the text carefully. When you open these, some are, can be listed on the market. This one can't. It says obtained from this chest cannot be listed on the market. If they can be listed on the market, it will not mention that. If they can't be, though, it will say that. So my advice would be, if you are selling an engrave, or you're opening a chest where you can sell the engraving, search on the market for what the most expensive engraving is. Sell it at that. And then if your engraving's cheaper, buy that. That just saves you coins. You can get these all the way up to legendary engraving. So if we look here, where's the vendor? Go to the Arcasian Grand Prix vendor. Just over here. Where are we? You can see there. You can see here, special sales. They were selling epic class engravings and epic combat engraving recipes. So events, they're a very good way often to get class engravings or combat engravings. A really good place as well is Anguished Isle. This island here has a vendor where you can get all the way up to you can get 2 legendary class engravings, and you saw how expensive those can be. Lots of island quests give class or combat engravings. There's lots of quests along the way. Welcome challenges are good for them. When you hit 1370, you get 10 epic combat engravings. 1340 gave 10 class engravings. Where's the boss rush? Which one is this? There was one for a boss rush. I can't remember where it is. Is it here? Yep. When you do boss rush at tier 3, you get 10 class engravings. So you can get a lot of engravings for your characters for free. Events, raids, just quests, islands. There's a lot of ways of getting engravings, and if you can't find the one you want, go to the market. I would say always make sure you have at least your level 1 class engraving. I don't think you need to min-max engravings really until you get to the proper end game. You can see my engravings are all right. I've got a decent level 3. I've got a meta level 3. I've got my class engraver to level 2. I would like to get Igniter to plus 12 to make it easier to get it to level 3. But I'm not paying 8,000 gold right now. Hopefully this has helped you guys understand engraving system more. If you have any questions, please let me know. If there's any videos you'd like to see moving forward, please let me know. The last thing I will say is you need 5 for each level. 15 gets you level 3. Anything above that is wasted and doesn't do anything. Appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully see you in the next video. Have a great weekend.